Hello and welcome to A Little Crafting. My name is Annie. It's the 10th of January 2021 and I'm recording this from Surrey in the UK, which is where I live. And this is my bi-weekly crafting podcast where I talk about all the things I've been making in the last couple of weeks. And it's primarily focused on knitting at the moment, but also weaving and any other crafts that I pick up. In the UK, we're now in our third lockdown for coronavirus reasons, and therefore I've had quite a bit of time to craft and make a few things over the holidays as well as at the start of January this year. I'm going to start off by talking about the knit-alongs that we are running at the moment. So I started a Christmas Eve cast on knit-along on Christmas Eve 2021. And a few people have posted in the chatter thread on my Ravelry group, which I will link in the description below this episode. If you have cast something on Christmas Eve, please do join in the chat. And also I am running a giveaway. So once you finish that object that you cast on Christmas Eve, please do post in the finished objects thread, which I've put up this weekend, so that you can be in for a chance of winning the lovely yarn by Adventures in Yarncraft, which has not yet arrived but hopefully will be shortly, so that I can show you on the next episode. The thread is on Ravelry also, so please just post your pictures in there and I'll draw a random winner at the end of the month, so probably on the 1st of February. I've seen a few people making socks. I'm also making some socks, although I haven't made any progress since the last time I showed them to you, so I do need to think about what I'm going to do with them, and also perhaps start again because the socks are still too big. Wonderful. The other thing that I'm going to do is run a 100 subscribers giveaway. So at the moment I'm at 84 subscribers to this channel. So once we hit 100, I will both put a post on Ravelry and also ask people to comment below the next episode, so that you can be in for a chance of winning some lovely yarn. And that is this Aran weight yarn from Stranded Dye Works. So this is Superwash Merino Aran in the lovely cornerstone colour, and I've got 2 skeins of this to give away. So you can make this for, I've got 2 skeins of this to give away, so that you can use this for a reasonably sized accessory in Aran weight. And it's lovely yarn. It is kind of a mottled grey with quite a few different flecks of other colours in here. So kind of some yellows, quite a bit of sort of pale green as well. There's a little pop of pink just there. Some blue just over here. Okay, so really quite a lovely subtle colour. And I thought it would be a lovely prize for that 100 subscribers. So if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe, and I'll sort out the giveaway shortly so that you can be in with a chance of winning those. Let's start with some actual crafting though. So first of all, I'm going to talk about my knitting. Now, great news, after injuring my finger towards the beginning of December, it is now mostly better. So I have been able to knit quite a bit. I don't get any pain unless I really overuse it. So I've been knitting slowly, trying not to do too much with it still, but most of the time it's absolutely fine. So I'm really happy that I'm able to get back to crafting. It was really depressing me for a while because I guess so much of what I do involves my hands, and even just simple tasks were causing me some pain. So very happy that that's all okay, or mostly okay now, and that I can do most things without it being painful effectively. So really happy about that. That does mean that I've been knitting like mad, I suppose, because I've suddenly realised that I can do it again. Although slowly, I've still been doing a lot because I missed it so much. So the first thing I want to show you is the finished owl sweater that I've made for my friend, which will be late as a Christmas present, but I think an injury is a fair reason, to be honest. This is the Owls sweater by Kate Davies, and I have knit it in Drops Nepal in the colour 8912, which is blush. So I'll show you the finished sweater in all its glory. And to be honest, I wasn't sure how this would end up, but I tried it on myself and I think it looks absolutely fantastic. So I really hope it fits my friend. Let me hold it up properly in front of me. So this is the yoke, and what I've done is sewn on all the little owl's eyes. They are fish eye buttons, and I got those from a company on Etsy called Fenlandgreen. So they're cream fish eye buttons, and this was actually really interesting because I wasn't sure whether to sew them on individually and tie them off, or whether to kind of create a float at the back. So what I've opted to do is actually start on one side, so for example this side, and then sew them on as if I was doing colour work effectively. So I'm connecting them all the way along, and that does mean that if for some reason one section breaks, it can probably easily be tied off if needed. However, I am going to hopefully need to make sure that it's not too tight around my friend's top half, so that she doesn't kind of get too restricted in movement because of that float that's running behind them. I tried to make it as loose as possible, but I thought that was the easiest way of popping those buttons on. Overall, I'm very happy with the knit. I think it's got a really lovely effect at the end. I really like the body shaping. I think it works really well for a nice fitted sweater. Like I said in previous episodes, but if you're new, you won't know, I had some trouble with the sizing initially because I'm using Aran weight yarn rather than what's called for, which is chunky. So I had to adjust my gauge quite considerably and kind of mix up the sizes a bit. So I've written everything on my Ravelry page, which I will also link in the description below for the project. But basically I used two different sizes for the sleeves and the body. So I used one larger size for the sleeves and a smaller size for the body so that it would fit properly. And I think it's worked out very well that way. The only kind of issue I would have with the sweater at the moment is that you decrease very quickly above the owls, and what that means is that it becomes very gappy at the top, whereas the body's quite nice and smooth. So I hope that my friend won't be too bothered by that. I mean, she's getting an owl sweater, which is awesome, but it would annoy me a bit. I don't know whether I could work out a way of doing that top part differently so that you don't have this much. Let me try and show you. In the kind of gappy effect where you decrease so quickly. It's possible that it's because I'm using a lighter weight yarn that the chunky would actually fill out much better. But the owls are so cute. I mean, look at them. I think the eyes out of the buttons just make them really look great. They look cool without, but yeah, the owls are just fantastic and actually quite straightforward to sew on in the end. I was a bit worried that I'd find it difficult or time consuming, but it didn't take me too long. I was sat down with my craft group on a Zoom call and I just started and carried on whilst chatting to them, so that was actually not as bad as I expected. If you don't know already, this sweater is knit bottom up. It has some waist and hip shaping, so you do the yoke at the end after knitting the sleeves separately. And again, I was skeptical about kind of having the bottom 3 parts, the 2 sleeves and the body, and then attaching them to then knit the yoke, but it actually worked absolutely fine. And to be honest, it didn't take as long as I expected to finish off this sweater. So I'm really happy with that. I think the owls are so cute, and I really hope my friend absolutely loves it and that it fits her. If it doesn't fit her, Helen, if you're watching, I will have the sweater and I'll make you another one because it fits me, so that's great. So that is my first finished object, and that I actually finished knitting on the 31st of December. So counts as a 2020 finish, I think. But what I've decided to do for 2021 is try and use up a lot of my Aran weight and DK weight stash, and that's because I have a lot of half balls or partial balls of yarn that I've used for other projects and not known what else to do with them. So my plan, and I'm not sure if I'm going to manage this, but I'll give it a go anyway, is to knit a hat every single week of this year, so that at the end of the year I have 52 hats. What I will either do is donate some of those hats to Hats for the Homeless, and that is a charity in the UK where they distribute hats to homeless shelters for homeless people to have, so that they've got warm hats during the winter. And the other idea I had was to sell the hats to friends and family or online, and then donate the money that I've raised for that to a charity of my choice. So I'll have a look at that later on in the year, but for now my plan is to try and use up as much yarn as possible, because I think it's such a shame to have all of these sort of scrappy parts of balls where I could do something perfectly good and knit a really nice hat with them, but I won't necessarily wear them myself, and my family have probably had enough hats to be honest. So I'll see how I manage over the year. Even if I only knit, you know, 25, it's still a significant amount of yarn used up, and also something for a good cause. So for that reason, I have knit my first hat of the year in the first week, and that is the classic ribbed hat by Purl Soho, which is a free pattern on Ravelry and actually on their website as well, so I'll link to that in the notes below. I've knit it on 3.75mm needles, and I've knit the adult medium size, so it actually comes in 5 different sizes from baby all the way to adult large, which is great for a free pattern because it means that you can choose the size that you need and go for it. But as I don't know who this is going to be for, I thought the best thing to do was go for the medium. So this is knit out of a mystery yarn. I have no idea what it is. I suspect there might be some mohair in this because it has been making my eyes a bit itchy, and it is quite fluffy. If I show you, it's quite a fluffy yarn, but it's a beautiful colour. It's a light bluey green, and I think it must be Aran weight, but I'm not entirely sure. But it does fit me and probably someone with a larger head. It stretches out quite a bit. I really liked the pattern. It's very straightforward. It's a lot of rib though, that's the only thing. So it's slower than knitting a knit stitch hat or a stockinette hat. And that will go on the pile for one of my first of many hats this year. If anyone would like me to join me in this challenge that I've set myself for 2021, I have also set up a post on Ravelry, in the Ravelry thread for a little crafting, just explaining what I'm doing, and also some hat patterns that are a good idea. So quite a few free ones are available on Ravelry, and some of them are fantastic. I've knit a lot of them before for friends and family and for myself, so I've got a few links in there that I would recommend. Please go and take a look if you feel like joining in. Be great to have some friends or comrades also doing the same thing as me this year. So there we go. So those two are my finished objects, and I will now move on to what I am working on at the moment. So as I've got my 52 hat challenge, I of course have to have cast on another one already, and that is the Granby hat by Knox Mountain Knit Co. I do really like Knox Mountain Knit Co.'s patterns overall. They tend to do some really good sets that match, so for example a hat and a cowl plus some mittens, and I really like that because I have a thing for matching sets basically. So often if I make myself a hat that I really like, I will also try and adjust that pattern to make myself at least a cowl to go with it, because I like to have matching sets. This is part of a matching set called the Granby, and this comes with a hat, cowl and mittens as well, I think. So the hat is going like this so far. Actually I'll pop a full picture just here so that you can see exactly what it is going to look like. I am knitting this in Rainbow Heirloom Lush DK in the Koala Haircut colour, which is a dark grey, so I think it will be quite a neutral unisex hat. Let me closer so that you can see. Yeah, and it's got these really cool little kind of knot textures. So essentially it's just a garter and stockinette stitch hat with a seam between the sections, but then you've got these really cool little knots here that run up the stockinette section, and I've not made those before, but they do look good. They are a bit fiddly, I'd say kind of as fiddly as bobbles. They're kind of similarly made, but I won't give all the details because this is a paid for pattern, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I cast it on yesterday, so the 9th of January, and I've got a fair distance, so I have no worries about being able to finish it by next Saturday, and that will add another hat to the pile. As this is hand dyed yarn, I probably want to sell this one for charity donations, so I'll see what I end up doing. I'll probably split them by non-hand dyed and hand dyed yarns depending on what to do with them, and yeah, hopefully I'll have a good mix by the end of the year. I'm knitting this on my higher sharps, as usual, my interchangeable set, and these are the 3.5mm needles that I'm knitting this hat on. I think I've also got a smaller size, yeah, so I'm going down to 3.25mm for the smaller size needle sections. Yeah, that's going really well, and I'm really enjoying the pattern so far, even though it is a little bit fiddly for those knots. The next thing I have been knitting on is my husband's pair of socks, although sock singular at the moment, and for this I am using another Knox Mountain Knit Co pattern. So I'm using the Heart Nut socks as a base for this pattern, but instead of doing the cables on this, I am doing a 3x1 rib across the front. So I'm effectively just not doing any cabling on the sock. And this is knit out of Retrosaria Mondim in the blue, and then Ficalana R Wetter Classic for the grey toe, and I'm going to have a heel in this, but it'll be an afterthought heel, and the cuff, which I've just started on now. I'm knitting it toe up. This is because I really like the idea of trying on the sock as I go, especially when I have not successfully knit socks for my husband before. They do, or this one does fit. Hopefully I can recreate it exactly the same way for the other one. That's always my worry sometimes with socks or sleeves. If I make a mistake, they won't fit the same way. But I think I should be fine with counting the stitches and so on. And yeah, so far he's happy with it. I am knitting these socks on 2mm higher sharps. That's these ones. On I think an 80cm cord, just to give myself a bit of room to turn the circular needles around. And that's that. Hoping to have those done fairly soon. He keeps saying to me that he's not had his socks yet, and I keep telling him every other day to try them on to see if that one fits. But I guess once I've finished this one and it's the right length, I shouldn't have to make him try them on anymore. So I can just replicate it with the other sock. I'm looking forward to having those done, especially so that he can wear them. The other thing that I've been continuing on is the Lighter Shawl by Simone Kerritt. And I've obviously shown this several times in the podcast before, but if you're new, this is a brioche shawl, and it is a crescent shape. So you start at the top here with the stripes, and then you expand outwards for the brioche sections. And I'm on the second brioche section now. I can't see it very well, sorry. There you go. I haven't knit very much of it yet because I've been working so much on the sweater, the owl sweater. But it's going really well. The thing that I'm struggling with is that because it's a crescent shape, it is kind of extending quite a bit along the needles, so there's quite a long row at the moment, especially when I'm doing brioche and having to knit it twice each time. But I'm still really enjoying it, and I'll just take it easy and gradually and get going with that over the next few weeks. Fingers crossed I'll have it done soon as well. I'll motor through some bits and pieces. This is knit out of the Madeline Tosh work sock is the blue, and that is in the Arctic colourway. That's a sport wet yarn, and the other one is Primrose Yarn Co. Rose Sport in the Sassy Pants colourway, which creates this kind of really speckled, lovely blues, turquoises and pinks that remind me of 100,000 Sprinkles. And yeah, I really like the effect that this is having at the moment, and I'm looking forward to wearing it soon. It will be so nice and squishy because of the brioche, but I don't think it'll be too warm because it's got those garter sections, garter stripes and sections in between. I am also knitting this on higher sharps again, 3.25mm needles. I tend to gravitate towards the 3 to 4mm needle range for most things, and I tend to have to go down a needle size for the most part. So that is my Lighter Shawl progress at the moment. Next up, I am pleased to say that I have finally started on the boho style mosaic cardigan that I was planning on knitting. The designer is Irene Lynn, and it is a top-down raglan cardigan with some mosaic detail on the bottom. Again, I'll pop a picture just here so that you can actually see that in all its glory rather than just the knitting that I've been doing so far. As expected, I am knitting this out of Durarum Natura Gilliatt, and I'm knitting it in 3 different colours instead of 4. So the main colour I'm using is going to be a blue, which is the colourway Nuit, and then I'm also using a grey, I think it's called Joyland, but I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, and finally a speckled white, which is Poivre Blanc. I'll show you where I'm up to so far, although it is a bit squished up on the needles. So I've just been doing this kind of raglan shaping at the top. Let me take it off its needle holder and you'll be able to see it better. Let's not lose the stitches. So I've just been doing the raglan shaping at the top. There you go, and it's got these lovely ridges actually that make it really interesting, I think. Will look really nice. So at the moment it kind of just looks like a square with an opening at the bottom, but it seems to be working well so far. I am currently knitting on 3.75mm needles for this one. It is creating quite a stiff gauge, but I have swatched for this, so I'm hoping once I get past this kind of initial top section, it will feel a bit looser. It also is quite a jagged, kind of a straight square, if you see what I mean. So the shoulder sections with the raglans are quite, oh, what's the word? They're at kind of a 90-degree angle. So I think going around this corner is probably what's making this seem quite stiff when I'm knitting it. But once I get a lot more fabric on the needles, I imagine it will kind of feel looser and I get past this initial top section. Fingers crossed that works anyway. I don't know whether I should just try and block the sweater as it is to just see how it ends up. But I think my gauge should be fine. So let's carry on for now, and I might regret it later. We'll see. I'll let you know in the next episode. So because this is knit top down, obviously this is very much going to be the colour that I'll be using for a long time. I am excited to get to the mosaic colour work, and I think that will spur me on and keep me going with the main blue colour. But I'm really excited about having this kind of big cardigan almost that looks great and I can just throw on and be really cozy and warm in. What I might do is actually make myself a little belt to go around it, so hopefully I'll have some of the blue yarn left and I can just create kind of a flat belt, or maybe, I don't know whether I would do it in the round or just do a flat strip. I might look up and see if anyone else has done something similar for cardigans before, just so that I could tie it shut, because it is very long, so it kind of is very dressing gown like. But really excited to be wearing that soon, maybe not so soon, because it is quite an epic project. And I can also then wear my lovely circle and dash pin with it that will match, which will be great. So yeah, really enjoying that, other than it being a bit stiff at the moment. So again, I'm taking it easy for this project because I don't want to be pushing so much with my finger. But fingers crossed we'll all be fine in the end. And like I've mentioned before, I'm not afraid of going, this isn't right, I'm going to rip out and start again. So just to make sure that the project ends up right in the end, especially when I'm spending so much time and effort and yarn on knitting something lovely, I don't want to not wear it. Let's move on to acquisitions. I don't have much yarn to show at the moment because I'm on a bit of a yarn restriction. My husband's given me a challenge to only buy 2/3 of the yarn that I've used this year, so I have to kind of do some maths basically, and I think it's going to be based on meterage or yardage rather than on the weight of the yarn, so I'm going to be tracking that quite rigorously this year. However, I have ordered a couple of things pre-Christmas, I believe, that have since arrived that I wanted to show you. So the first thing is some stitch markers, and I ordered these with the buttons from my owl sweater from Fenlandgreen on Etsy, and I'll link to that down below. Basically, I have been losing a lot of my little bulb stitch markers, my multicoloured ones, and I thought I'd get myself some more because they're not too expensive and they're very helpful things to have. I just need to stop dropping them down the sofa or losing them in the hoover and accidentally throwing them away with other things because they're so tiny. So definitely something I need to focus on this year. But I got these stitch markers in 3 different colours, so you can get sets of specific colours, and the shop had some different options for kind of quite plain ones. So I ended up getting packs of these 3. Let me see if I can show you. There's a rose gold one on one side, a white one, and a one that you can't see very well but is black. So 3 different colours. I've got a whole load of these in a tin, which I will show you just now. It's reflecting a little bit, but yeah, you can see I've got a whole load in there. And I can't remember exactly how much I paid for them, but they seemed fairly affordable relative to some of the other options that were available. For example, the multicoloured ones tended to be a lot more expensive. So I thought I'd just get 3 different colours, and then I can use those for my projects going forward. So that was one acquisition that came along with the buttons. The second thing I have ordered is Lane magazine, but issue 2. So I'm trying to make sure that I get all of the issues, because pre-ordering this one I had issues 4 onwards, 4 to 10, and I thought before they sell out completely everywhere I will pick up the other ones. So this is issue 2. This was from spring summer 2017, and to be honest I found it very hard to get this one. I searched quite a lot online and only found it in one place, and I will link to that down below. I can't remember the exact name of the shop, but this is as you'd expect, beautiful Lane magazine. It's got a few patterns that I'm quite keen to make, and I'll just see if I can find them. Okay. Yeah, so for example this brioche shawl, it looks really pretty. And then I think this one actually, oh yeah, it's got the Birkin sweater by Caitlin Hunter, which I've seen quite a lot of people make, and that looks really nice as well. Definitely my kind of thing. And a morning fog cardigan as well. I'd really quite like one of those. So as with all Lane publications, these are just very beautifully photographed, really lovely paper. They've got recipes in there, so I might try my hand at Nordic pancakes. And some really nice other options. Oh, that one's really nice as well, the Sebille sweater. There you go. That's really very me too. So yeah, I have also ordered issues 1 and 3 so that I've got the complete set, but they will be arriving in February with my pre-order of Strands of Joy by Anna Joanna, which is another book by Lane Publishing that I'm very excited about, because it's stranded colour work and her patterns are gorgeous. So I'm looking forward to receiving that along with the other 2 issues of Lane that will be arriving. So that's that. From the same shop I also saw that they had some needle felting kits. This is something that one of my craft group friends suggested that I try whilst my finger wasn't working too well. But I've only just received it, so I thought this one would be really lovely. It's a hair, so as I have a hair ornament already in my craft room, I thought it'd be really nice to have a little hair to go with that one. And yeah, it's a felting kilt by Feather Felts. So it does say intermediate on the back, but I'm hoping that my craft group friend can help me out if I get stuck with it. I probably should have gone for a beginner kit, but I thought he was so cute with his big ears. Isn't that adorable? So I hope I can do him justice. If I need to kind of do some other needle felting before I try him out, I will do that as well. I'll see what my friend recommends. And finally, I did get some yarn before Christmas, but this is actually for weaving rather than knitting. And what I did was just order a couple more balls of one of my favourite yarns for weaving with, and that is the Chopel Zauberball Starker 6, which is the kind of DK sport weight version of the Crazy Zauberball. So this colour, and I'll write these out in the description below, is Schokolanden Site, I think. It's got some really lovely oranges and kind of pinks and greys and reds, so very much an autumn feeling yarn. But I want to actually make myself a couple of bags like I made my family for Christmas, so I thought I'd get something and to do that with. And then I also got this other one which is called Malawinkle. I think they do have English names on the website. I use Art Yarns for these ones. This is kind of a really muted spring colours, I would say, that I thought was really nice. I'm not sure what I would pair this with to weave with, but I thought it was a really beautiful option. Kind of subtle rainbow almost. Possibly very Easter-esque colour. And I will be weaving with those soon. So I think that's it in terms of what I wanted to show you. As it's the weekend, I'm probably going to be doing some more weaving and sewing this afternoon, because I do want to make a few more things, and my mum is borrowing my sewing machine, so I better get things done now. So I'll be sewing later on, and might have some bits to show you next time from what I've done with that. And otherwise I'm just cracking on with knitting and chilling out at home most of the time. We're still playing Dungeons and Dragons with friends every Saturday afternoon, which I'm enjoying at the moment, and just doing things on Zoom with friends in the evenings as well, so either playing a board game or playing an online video game. As it's locked down at the moment, we're only allowed to go outside and meet one other person individually. So I'm still doing some walks with my friends, or friend, well no, more than one friend. I have more than one friend, it's fine. But just to kind of meet up, and then doing lunchtime walks with my husband every day when we're working as well. Which is really good to get fresh air and just refresh before the afternoon, because otherwise I find I slow down very quickly. Sad not to be climbing at the moment, but with the number of cases currently on a daily basis going absolutely through the roof, I think I'm much more worried about both catching coronavirus and also spreading coronavirus at the moment than I actually was in the last lockdown or the previous one, because of this new variant. So pretty much just avoiding doing anything that comes in contact with other people unless we really have to go to the supermarket, but very much trying to go every couple of weeks rather than on a kind of more regular basis to try and avoid contact as much as possible. I also try to shop more locally, so going to the butchers and the grocers and the bakery that are in the village nearby, rather than going into somewhere like Sainsbury's. But there are certain things we can't get from doing that, for example fish, which I really enjoy, so still having to go to the supermarket sometimes. Yeah, and then otherwise doing fine, just plodding along as we did in 2020, hoping that all of this is over soon and that we can get back to a little bit of a more normal life. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to find me on other social media, my name is Ankiwoo on Ravelry, and I've actually changed my name on Instagram to a_little_crafting, so I will link to that in the description box below, so if you want to find me there you can. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode, and check out my other episodes if you would like to as well. I hope to speak to you again soon about what I've been making. Have a lovely crafty couple of weeks, and enjoy your time. Thanks very much. Bye.